Hello girls and guys, homo sapiens, whatever you identify as, living angels. I decided to make this video because I feel that I need to tell people, because I've realised something. It's taken me about half a century, but the penny has finally dropped, and I've realised why. God sent angels. Yeah. So a while ago I started to write a book called God Sent Angels, very slowly, well, a bit fast, but then it's been left, and I've, lots of other things to attend to. But yeah, I've realised something new now. I guess that new revelations, well, I need to be careful how I word things. But for now, I'm going to tell you what happened. And then bit by bit, I'm going to give you a history of my life. And then you might realise yourself why God sent angels. And a lot more. Not that anybody's going to do anything about it. Because there's not substantial evidence for that, is there? So let me begin by telling you that when I was 14, oddly enough, the same age as Bernadette, but no, I'm not claiming to be like Bernadette, but when I was 14, yeah, I was pure innocent girl. I had a boyfriend, and believed in God, used to pray, used to take myself often to walk miles to go to a certain church, and God was my only hope. When I was 12 years old, a lot more happened before then, but yeah, I'll get into that another time on a separate video. But when I was 12, this sounds ridiculous that I have to say this, in the event it offends someone or due to YouTube rules, so I have to say I was raped, and it was said that I was left for dead on a path. If I hadn't have got to the hospital within the 5 minutes I would have been dead, and I was in a coma. But anyway, I wasn't exactly left for dead. So basically what happened is, after somebody had done what they'd done after I was attacked, it wasn't nice. It was quite brutal, and I was left with scars for a long time, not just mentally, but yeah, it was a terrible ordeal. But anyway, yeah, years older, I had counselling, that's why I can talk about it, but now you're like restrained to talk about it, which isn't really fair. But anyway, I wasn't exactly left for dead, because what happened is, I told somebody what had happened to me when I got away from my abuser. And I was walking out of the alley with that somebody, and that was the last thing I knew. I just saw the lamppost, the yellow lamppost, and it all went blurry. And the next thing I remember is seeing a white light, really bright white light, and lots of babies crying. Just hearing the noise of babies crying, and the bright white, and I kind of woke up and I was like, have we been decorating again? Thinking my room's been painting or something, because it was so white. And I know I couldn't walk, tried. I wanted to go to the toilet on my own. I collapsed behind the door. Staff had to come in somehow and get me. I wasn't able to walk at first. And the person who'd done what they did to me, well, as soon as I was conscious, they came to the hospital before the police. And they told me what to say. They invented this story and broke and smashed up all this glass at the back of a pub and told me to say I'd fallen and all that, when I hadn't. When detectives turned up, they were shouting. It just felt so loud. It was like echoing in a swimming pool, like if you've got your fingers in your ears and or you're underwater. The voices were like that, and it was just too much emotionally for me. They were telling me to tell them who did it, and obviously I couldn't, because for one I was in shock, for two they were shouting too loud, it was just too much how they went about it. I'd already been traumatised, strapped down and measured all over for any marks I had on me with a ruler. That was hysterical and left me traumatised, that. And I'd already been told what to say. So it wasn't until 3 months later I told the truth. And then when I did, well, my word against theirs, you know. The usual story. As I found out, as I've progressed in life, things have happened. So yeah, and apparently I could have been saying it was him, my attacker, and it was the person who kind of, well, they didn't save me, but apparently the person that I walked out of the alley with told me that I kind of just went flat on the floor and banged my head. And they ran into a stranger's house and rang an ambulance. Yeah, my mum's friend was an ambulance driver, and apparently they heard the call, sent a different one or something. They got a shit one, I don't know. But yeah, they had to stop off at my house to give my mum the key. Apparently I'd locked them in when I'd left that day, that morning. So yeah, before, so during the time that this was happening to me, this attack, it was, there was loads of fencing, like meshing kind of stuff, just a big long wall, garages or something. I remember seeing this bathroom light come on, and I'd been screaming. And they was doing something out, and it was so really hurt me, a part of me. It was squeezing me so hard that the nails went in me. And finally I lost my screen. But before I lost my screen, I saw this like a bathroom light come on. I thought maybe they'd hear me, maybe they'd help me. But they didn't. And then I shouted, God, help me, please. I shouted to God. And from that day forward, I believe He always helps me. And He listened to my prayers, and He answered my prayers, even if it was years later. He always answered my prayers. And I've gone through hell, but He's helped me get through it. My faith, my belief, my strength, my hope. Yeah, the badness of stuff, well, it didn't really just end there. You know, a hospital. Well, He should have visited me, He didn't really visit how much. When they weren't very nice when I come round, whatever they were saying. I didn't tell them who'd done what had been done to me, but I did ask them not to let that person in the house again. When I was released from hospital, I walked home on my own, and they were there in the house. Yeah, they used to bother me and come down and sing No New Year's Day to celebrate across the road. So I moved my bedroom, my bed, my mattress onto the landing where I had no window so I didn't have to see them. And eventually I was left. I went to my nana's. I lived with her and my uncle. She went in school. I went and lived with another uncle. And yeah, a stranger did something to me there. It was actually at his house after her birthday. There weren't many people, but my bed was the sofa. And I'd fallen asleep and I woke up to, well, something the man eventually admitted, and he went to prison for a couple of years, but he went on the run for 10 days first. But I'd learned from my last experience, maybe it would have helped if I'd have told straight away, but it wouldn't. But this time I kind of did. I went to school, I helped take my uncle's kids to school, and then came back home, which was my home at the time because I lived there. My little cousins, and I told my uncle's partner at the time, and she was really good and supportive actually back then, all those years ago. She was really nice, and they did the right thing. My mum turned up at some point and all that, shouting at social workers, helping them harass anyone. Well, they never asked how I was anyway. I had to make a statement, just a video statement, because they'd admitted things. It was horrible. Obviously, it won't be nice, is it? Yeah, it was really awful. I had basically PTSD about him for a while. When I got my first boyfriend, he had hairy legs like that guy, and if he laid on me, I'd get a flashback. Flashbacks not just the thought, it was actual, like it was as if he was there, the person that had done what they had to me. Yeah. I counselling for about a year and a half, and I was a lot older when I left home and that, eventually. I had a really good counsellor, and I went through things that wasn't abnormal for the childhood that I'd had. But back to God sent angels. A lot happened, a lot, in my time. And you know what? It happened even before my time. Anyway, at some point my mum was getting married, and she met this guy, she was going to get married, she wanted me to come to the house and meet him, so I went back for that. Yeah, I lived with my friends, mum and dad and family as well, a couple of times, after my uncles. Didn't want to stay there anymore after what happened, really. Felt uncomfortable. And my friends' family were lovely, really. safe there. And my mum said she was getting married and we were leaving. We were going to leave Leeds. I went to live in Cumbria, in the middle of nowhere. First we was in a caravan in St. Bees. But then we moved to this. Just looking at my cat. Probably thinks I'm mad. I think he's getting to realise I'm not talking himself exactly. Yeah, anyway, we went to live in this converted chapel called Big Gorge in Stanton Bridge, Wasdale, Estale, Cumbria. Very long address. It was 1802 Methodist Chapel. I think outside now it says Wesleyville or something. Wesleyan. I remember telling the priest about it once and saying if I could buy it, we should. I'd love to be able to buy that. Really. But God sends his angels anywhere he wants, doesn't he? So, yeah, there in the middle of nowhere from a city. Yeah. Died not long after we moved in, really. What used to happen, there was a lot of doors to get into the house if you didn't get in the front door. So there was a door to get into the porch area, then another door to get into the passage area, then another door to get into another area where there was a kitchen door, a bathroom door, a living room door and my bedroom door. So around tea time, when I was back from school, we'd hear I'd hear the doors open and close, and it would be my stepdad's voice shouting my mum's name, hello, I'm home, and I'd open my door, and he wasn't there. The person I was living with was. And they just stand and stare at me. Like black and stare. I've seen that black and stare quite a few times over the years, and I think I realise what it's all about now. Anyway. Yeah. Absolutely years later, there were certain recordings placed in a certain house and they were produced to me, and I was told that they were put there, and yes, such stuff on. I took them to the police. I couldn't listen to them all. I listened to some, but I was even on recording from when I was 11. It was crazy. Yeah, that's another story. I think possibly that's what this was, some kind of a recording. But I didn't know then. I have no idea. My life just consisted of getting up really early, going to school. Instead of drop me off at the bus stop, which was 2 miles away. I'd have to get a coach, which took ages. It was 20 miles away from my school. I went to school in Millham. And well, I'd get dropped back off. I used to have to walk home, take ages. Man in a blue van tried to pick me up once. Said that he lived at one of the little houses. But when I went and inquired at those houses, there was no man there like that. Nobody had a son that age, a van like that or anything. There weren't many houses. Yeah, I didn't get in the van. After that, my mum got some kind of old banger, like a leg roll. Used to bounce. I'm going to the ditch. And the steering went. Anyway, she picked me up, get picked up. Sometimes I sit there for ages in the dark, just waiting, cold, for them to take me in, and if I saw the car turn up, I'd just go out. And that was being a room. I didn't really have a relationship with my legal stepfather. And then what started to happen is I woke up, had a digital clock. It was like it was 2 a.m. and years ago I had everything written down and remembered properly, but I've gone through so much trauma. I think it's affected things sometimes, and I can't remember if it was 2:02 or 2:22, but it was 2 something, and it had a 2 minute after. But I know it was 2 a.m. and the first time I just saw this blue blurry light. Not as blue as those lights there, but it's similar. Like a thin, faded kind of figure. And I was kind of with my eyes and laid back down, not really thinking anything of it. I started to hear music. And I knew one time we went way back from Leeds in the car, going over Hard Not Pass or wherever, middle of nowhere, long dark. It was like a group of people all dressed in white, walking. So when I heard this music, I thought, oh, is somebody having a campfire somewhere? But no, there was no campfire. I stood and looked out my window. All you could see is mountains. Grass. There was grass at the back of me and cows. Just mountains. And the music was coming from the mountains. Bit by bit it just all got louder. And it was like a choir singing in the end. It was like a mixed language, and it did have sanctus. It was just mixed, but I know that it had holy, holy, holy in it. And the song was Trision. It's spelled Trigon. I researched it years later. However you do pronounce that. Trision means thrice as holy. And this figure anyway, every time I'd wake up, this figure started to come through the door. But there was someone outside my window with a certain hairstyle on top. Dark hairstyle. And I'd see them. Like I couldn't see their eyes, I could just see the top of their head. They're peeping on me. I didn't have curtains, and when I did get curtains, I remember having some curtains that were orange and horrible with holes in. Now I think about it, maybe they came out of the place at the bottom of the garden. There was a big place at the bottom of the garden which was pointed out to me. I've never been in there. Have I ever been in there? I mean, I could have gone quite outfits, but I never went in there. Don't know. I've been there. Previously it could have been like a little holiday home. Don't know. So the figure used to appear all the time. Every night. my mum phoned the police and accused the neighbour about a mile across the field. The police took a picture of the neighbour and showed me. It wasn't the neighbour. Didn't have the right hairstyle or anything. Just because he had black hair. So bit by bit what happened is when I'd wake up, this figure became more prominent and would just stand there close at the end of my bed. And the figure was like a female figure, all white inside, absolutely just glowingly white, but covered with a blue cape, a blue hooded cape. And eventually this figure would end up sitting on the end of my bed and just sitting there with me. Ages later, I was on a visit to my uncle's in Leeds, and it all came out, and he got his encyclopedia out, because you know, back then there was no YouTube, so new research was so much more hard work, but he had an encyclopedia of unexplained phenomena, and he said it's Mary. And all I thought in my 14-year-old brain was, why would Mary visit me? And that worked. And I went home. And what happened when we got in is the choir was the loudest it had ever been. Now in the past, there was one night I stayed out, and I'd heard music in my room. They thought that I'd left my radio on, but no radio was there. I found all the things out afterwards from a neighbour. Yeah, choir sounds so loud in the living room. It was absolutely amazing. If I opened the door to the living room door, it would stop. Now my mum and stepdad was in the other room. Across the living room was their bedroom door. It was all ground floor with low level windows. So their bedroom door wasn't really that far from mine. One time, they both went out to the Sandwich Inn. It's the nearest boozer. And I was on the phone to my friend in Leeds, Billy Smith. Also known as Gertie back then. We'd been good friends at school. And I talked to her for ages on the phone. It's very dark outside. But suddenly from the porchway, where the area where the phone was, windows, that's where the phone area was, and there was a shelf in the front door. Suddenly, this woman, this person, I mean, I could have had white dog powder on my face, really. But it was a slim woman with long dark hair, and appeared to look like a choir outfit, a long white gown. Walked across the lawn with her hands out, with her arms out. I mean, I've had spiritual experiences, but usually they don't walk out like that, you know. I feel like a zombie film when I think about it on reflection. But the giveaway maybe. At the time it freaked me out. I told my friend and I was scared. I felt scared at that point. And I hid under the shelves and I was like, please don't go off the phone until someone comes back. And so a while later, my mum and stepdad came back arguing. And he was shouting, where did you go? And saying her name. And she said she didn't go nowhere, he did. She'd gone to the toilet and she came back and he wasn't there. And when I told her about what happened, she tried to say, well, could it have been him? I don't even think she said could it have been. But I was like, no, it's not him. It couldn't have been me. Because of his build. And maybe it looked like, yeah, I know, I'm talking a lot. I'm talking to this here. I'm going to put it on YouTube. You're going to see it on YouTube. Hey, my little angel. Yes, you are. Oh, come here. Oh, beautiful. Oh, my baby. You say hello. Can you say hello? So what was I saying? Yeah, that's what happened. And just got on the live after that. Not thought much more of it. The priest came out. Oh, excuse me. The priest came out to bless the place. And he sat and listened to my mum. And he looked at me. And he said to me to say these prayers. He brought some lovely special prayers with him. That must be from a Catholic church, don't know. But I'm thinking that because my stepdad was Catholic. So with him being Catholic, I thought he'd have known what this was, this choir, and this figure that used to come and sit under my bed. Oh, you want my attention? I love you. You're beautiful. Okay, put it to your pink nose. So I'm just telling people here about something really miraculous that happened. And God was really looking out for me when nobody else was. Yes, he was. And he helped keep me going. Yes, he did. And he protected me. Yes, he did. You think I should tell him? I think so. And that choir, when we came back and we all heard it, it was so loud. Absolutely. Basically, when I was in my room, the figure of Mary used to sit at the end of my bed, and the choir music would be there. That came from the mountains, and it would just become louder and louder. And it was inside the building. And somebody was lingering outside. And it was many, many, many years later I began to realise I had something called a stalking problem. Before stalking law was invented really, or taken action on. Just recently a new one came out, 2023, added to the Domestic Violence Act. But you know, there's things that could be separate issues, incidents, separate events, some that might be linked. Yeah. What do you think? So I thought when I was talking I was going to focus more on telling you about Mary and the angels and how do I know they were angels? Well, Mary is the Queen of Angels. So anyway, I was 14 And yeah, I used to still say the prayers. I got the prayers, they were laminated, I had them for years. And I lost them. Didn't lose them, but my possessions. I actually trusted a priest to help me, and I lost the law. I lost all my possessions. Just some things that I could take with me. And I thought the priest was going to help remove things and keep them or store them until I could get them, and well, they didn't. Anyway, so I had to start again. And then I lost half of that. And so much more. But yeah, I've had a few spiritual experiences. But I still have strong faith and belief and hope, and I know God is real. And I know because of my experiences, yeah, I've had bad things happen, and I have fought bad, and I've seen evil. And I've fought evil. With my faith. With my knowledge and belief in the afterlife. And God. I don't really know what else to say about it, to be honest. Apart from the priest came out, and I did say the prayers, and I kept saying them, just in case it was something. He believed that it was something good. He believed something was protecting me, and he didn't know why. You know, looked at my mum. But to say the prayers, just in case it was evil posing as good. And I said those prayers with my mind. Mary still sat there with me at the end of my bed. And you know what's weird? Well, it wasn't only just like 2 at something AM that I woke up and this would happen. But it took twice as long, 28-ish, when I found out about the choir of the seraphim. And the choir of the seraphim is 1,000 angels singing to protect you from evil. So whatever was lurking meant me harm. Whoever it was meant me harm and was evil. And God was protecting me. Because he was my only friend. Yep. And I've told this in some other events that have happened in my life to people. Some of them they can't say anything about. And some say, oh, it was the devil. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. So I found out as well from one of the nearest neighbours up the road the other way, young lad, family, quite a well-known family in that area, that he used to come in, before we lived there, he used to come and sit in with the woman who previously lived there because she felt scared to be in the house on her own because she used to hear music coming from the baby's room where the baby used to sleep. Yeah. So now that place isn't for a holiday let. Like I say, I'd love to buy it. Absolutely magical, but like I said, God goes where he wants to and sending the angels where they're at. I used to pray. Yeah, a few stories. Tell you another one, shall I? I was nearly 16. Oh, I was 16. I was on the verge. So it was around October when I would be 16. I was born in 1974. So whatever year that was, I'll let you work that out. Excuse me. And I lived in Cheadle in Stockport in Cheshire. And I not long moved to that area actually. I was hanging around with someone called Lizzie. And some of the people, but Lizzie was kind of my main friend. And she invited me to some other place to go hang out with some other people, so okay. But she said that we'd come back together. Anyway, I got there and then she changed her mind and I was going to have to come back on my own. And I didn't know the area. She said you'd be alright for the signs, blah blah, so I followed signs. I was a bit worried, it was a bit daunting. And the road all the way up, there was a park in Cheadle, and where I was coming from, the direction I was coming from, going upwards anyway. Well, on the left, it was more lit up, there was like lamp posts on the pathways, there were windy pathways, and there were big long steel gates, which were open. It was dark near the gates, but the pathways were lit up. And I was walking up there, the other side of the road seemed like a bit more dark and there wasn't as much there. And so I walked where it was more lit. And suddenly I saw this woman running down the path. She was shouting, "Help, help." Help me. She had long dark hair. I mean, all those years ago, I described her to the T. Anyway, then she just vanished. And it made me run. So did I run. I ran all the way to the top of the hill. Then I got to the top of the road, of where the corner of Cheadle Park is. And to the right there was a pub on the corner. And I was out of breath. And I had inhaler. And when I moved near Sellafield, doctors tried to say, well, I had asthma. I kept telling them it's not asthma. It's not working, this inhaler, blah blah blah. And then they said nervous asthma. No, it just wasn't working. Anyway, it turned out it was panic attacks. So there I was having a panic attack. And this man come running over and saying, "Are you alright, love?" I told him exactly, I told him immediately what had happened, what I'd seen, and I told him, you know, I've seen this woman. And I described her, what she looked like, what she was wearing and everything, and what she shouted and all that, and then she just disappeared, and just even before I'd finished telling him, he shouted, "Phone the police!" to all the crowd that was outside the pub over the road. Anyway, yeah, he said, "Oh, take me home, we ran to it's your parents. I was like, I'm not allowed to give that out, really. So he said, okay, I'll watch it till we get to the top of the road. Maybe you got to go, basically. You know, I've got to go up that way. And then that's it. So he said, right, we'll watch you to the top of the road, so catch your breath, just walk calmly. So you're alright, you'll be alright. They were really nice, and reassuring, and just really nice. And so they did, and I was looking back, and you're alright, you're alright. So I went home, actually I got to the top of the road, and then I had to turn left, because actually we lived on Old Hull Road. And then I ran like mad. I got in. I told my mum and my stepdad. My stepdad said I was lying, because I was late. Like, me cared about being late. You know, I could have boundaries and blah blah, respect things, but he didn't really know me. Pardon me? Oh my gosh. Oh, dear me. Can't believe I've done that live as well. I can't really put it out either, can I? Anyway. Oh, pardon me. There you go. So, yeah. No, it was sad and tragic actually. So, got in. Yeah, when I told them, he said that. Yeah, I was lying, because I was late. Not gonna lie, because I was late. All I'm gonna do is tell the truth. If I were late because I chose to be and hung out a bit longer, I'd have even said that, because I just told the truth. Whatever consequences were. Anyway, he didn't know that. Never even apologised either, you know, when he found out. So, went to school the next day, told my friends, told Lizzie what happened when I had to walk home on my own. Told my other friends, whoever they were at the time at school. But yeah, I remember Lizzie. And she's like, oh my god, and she believed me. Just people who really knew me, well, believed me. Anyway, after telling them and describing the woman, the ghost basically, got home and my mum showed me the newspaper. Tragic, really tragic. So what happened is a woman lost her life, but she saved mine. And God, I believe God allowed me to see her spirit. Had I not known when I did, I'd have been next. So what happened is there was a man who escaped from an institution. He was a multiple murderer. He'd strangled people. And he strangled her. And when I saw her, she can't have been long passed over. It was very, very, very sad and tragic. And yeah, from what was said in the paper, police were there within minutes. And they got him. And from wherever he was, I know that he was near that gate and he could have got me. Yeah, had I not known. So there was an instance of well, that girl saved my life. And had her spirit not been revealed like that, it could have gone on to kill more people. So she actually helped capture her own killer. And because of things like that, what's happened, what's in spirit like that, well, guess some people think, I'm a medium. Yeah, I did certain certificates years later because it was a way of, I was thinking about working during lockdown from home online. I didn't know what to do, and I was having pressure put on me when I was being a full-time carer as well and homeschooler. And then I realised, to claim carer's allowance and all the rest of that pressure would stop, and I didn't really want to do that as an occupation anyway, because I didn't know what God would really think about. But I know and think and believe I am sure on things. Not because I'm evil, but because of God has allowed it. Some people have got this idea that, if you see things, you're evil. I mean, people saw Jesus, they weren't evil. These apparitions of Mary, they're not evil. It's not only Jesus and Mary lives in the afterlife. There's all sorts of places people go in the afterlife. So that's just my thoughts and beliefs. But I believe in God, not just because, I'm not saying and proclaimed to know the whole Bible and remember it. I mean, I did have a Bible once when I was younger, a really nice one, a blue one. That was taken from me as well. I had pictures in and stories that weren't too long for children. Yeah, I used to go to church at first with my neighbours from over the road, and then I'd just go on my own. Sometimes, excuse me again, I make my way there to town on my own. On a Sunday, I go to town to look for cucumbers and money. Sometimes go with my friends, look around the marketplace, see what we could find, and talk to homeless people. And then come home. And what happened one of the times is when I was walking on this wall opposite Beckett Street graveyard in Harehills in Leeds, near the corner there. And I saw this man appear, and he was wearing a long white gown, and he had this white round cloth on his head. And years later, I believe this is the same. He had blue eyes, and he had a lantern, a lit lantern in the daytime. That's what made it odd. And, I looked and stared at me, and I stared at him. He walked around this tree and he disappeared. I said to my friends, "Did you see that man?" "No, how did he look like?" So we relayed all that. Years later, when I was doing some research, I found out about that graveyard. And I found out it was a very old graveyard, and nobody had been buried there for years. And nobody else could be, because it was old. So what I did find out is on the same row of graves, there was a Sarah Kavanagh and another Kavanagh. I can't remember his name. It was a man, I think. It was a family. They were buried together. People were buried together there in plague times. Yeah. And it was on the same side that I saw that. The same, I think, was the same. And what's really odd about that is, I was about 10 then. And when I was 27, my little boy was 2. And I never told him about the same. Or my cat. That's another story. This saint appeared with my cat, but this saint spoke to me. So like I say, it was about 2, 3. It was 2ish. Anyway, he didn't used to wake up really on the night. Maybe the odd times got rude, not really. He was very good. Anyway, we woke up shouting, "Mummy!" So I went up to see what was wrong, and he pointed to the corner of the room. He said there was a man there. And he told me what he looked like, and he said and he was with a cat. I'd never told Tyrone anything about a cat I used to have. Or anything. I never heard him mention the man I saw in the graveyard. It was the same man, and he spoke. And I've been packing to leave the premises. To go into a refuge. So at the time I was dealing with an ex-partner who was pretty obsessed with knives and done a lot of violence, and I used to just come through, keep my door in at any time he wanted and things like that. It was awful really. And I also had another ex-partner who decided to do other things at the same kind of time, so I'll do with a couple of people really, or a few. Yeah. So I was leaving. I thought about, putting it off a bit longer. And when that happened, and the message was something like, "The time is now," or I can't remember. "You must go. The time is now." I can't remember what he said now properly. It was all written down once. But there was a message or a warning. So we left the next day. I just knew that wasn't a warning, especially with my cat. I used to actually see my cat. And I used to always see it as a warning. For instance, my cat had passed away. It broke my heart actually. It really did. When I was young. Yeah, somebody else saw my cat as well at the same time as me. This young girl was in the refuge, and she was like, "Did you see that cat?" And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry, that's my cat." She saw it. And it turned out when I went back to the house, because I just stayed there overnight when I got some kind of an injunction. So next door got one or something. She was visiting there. They were friends, parents. And she'd seen my cat. And in that house, I used to see my cat, like, say, jump up at the window, fresh out, And then you got to know it was a warning. Something was going to happen at that window within 24 hours. And yeah, lo and behold, it used to, like, it gets smashed, put through, things like that. So when this was after that, when my son saw the cat, and who I think was the same spoke, and we had to go. And that very night, all my back kitchen window were put through, and somebody had tried to kick the way through the kitchen door into the living room area, into the upstairs. I had a bolt on, big bolt. I used to have to live with bolts and chains on my doors, because they'd kick them in quite quickly. I've got quite a few of the stories really. But all the ones I've told you, there's witnesses to them all. So it's not something I've imagined. That counselling, pretty all there, me, I can tell you. Surprisingly. Very much surprisingly. And you know why? Because people have got free will and choice. They can be horrible and evil and do wrong, to do that. I could choose to be like that, but I'm not. I'm a good person, really. Yeah. And where I've not got justice, I leave it to God. And God shows his wrath, even if it shows later. People who've done harm, well, they don't go unnoticed by God. And they get some kind of wrath from God, I can tell you that. I just leave it to God, me. So somebody thinks they're good and big and this and that, or anyone else could go around acting like. I just have my own thoughts. And but they even go back there. And that's where they go wrong. And that's why some people have got more chance of getting to help. Because they don't have the remorse. And they don't have the faith. Or the heart. So yeah. Those people who know me out there, know I'm talking real. People who think they know me but don't really know me, will be quite surprised probably. Even some churchgoers, law-abiding citizens who can sniff down the nose and all I am mighty and have judgment upon me that they don't even know. They couldn't be further wrong. I'm a warrior on this earth. For God. I've tried to do the right thing for others. And that's where I went wrong in a way. Because I thought God wants me to forgive. I can forgive though, but walk away. God don't want me to disrespect myself. You know? I need to be shown worth and value and respect. So therefore, that's it. I'm not a doormat. I'm a person who could take many different pathways of choices. But the most important one that I chose was being a dedicated, loyal mum. Because I don't feel that I had that in my childhood, and I felt like that's part, something that was missing, an important thing to be. So you did try your best. But it's like Mother Teresa says, you know, everything you build can be gone in an instant. You may love and never love. She was right. I built and built, and now it's like fruit to be gone in an instant. At the end of the day, we live this life, but the next one I just believe, well, it's forever, isn't it? This one matters, but so does that. So I'm going to call it a day on here now because, well, this video is really long. I have to squint to see the time. Wow. I don't even know if this is going to be able to go through because of storage. But at least I've got all that off my chest. Things I thought I'd share. Some of them won't be in my book. I don't know how I'm going to say some of them though. I wanted to come on here and and talk to you at the right time. It was never has been a right time now. Things always seem to interfere with that, the plans, the timing. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, eventually when Mary used to sit at the end of my bed, she took a cloak down, a hood. Yeah. It's like she was getting closer and more comfortable. Pretty amazing. So yeah, thank the Lord for that. Here's the card.